Happy Thursday, lean friends. Welcome to another episode of Lean Coaching for Lean Coaches. I am so excited to be here with you today on this wonderful Thursday for really a bonus session of coaching this week. Normally we have one every week, but this week we've got two, and there's a damn good reason why we've got that going on. And I'm so excited to bring this person on. And of course, as always, if you all are here, you're excited to learn and grow as lean coaches, practitioners, and you are like, man, I could use this kind of support in my world, in my life, on my journey. That's what I'm all about. I love helping folks just like you. So if that sounds like you and you'd like support, feel free to reach out, shoot me a DM, and I'm there for you. But we are here to do some live lean coaching with a person I'm getting to know, but absolutely loving and looking forward to having him on today. It is Mr. L R Weeden. Thank you so much for being here, my friend. How are you doing?
I choose to be great today, Sam. How about yourself, brother?
I love it. I'll take that every day and twice on Sundays, my friend. So, hey, for those of you that aren't connected to LR, and I don't know why you wouldn't be, I, I want people to get to know you just real quick first before we jump into the actual coaching. So tell folks who aren't connected or don't know your story just a little bit about you.
Absolutely. I appreciate that, Sam. I'm L R Weeden. First name is actually Leandros by birth, so it has lean in it, ironically. So that's how I kind of got into the space. But born and raised in St. Louis, Missouri, currently living in Nashville, Tennessee. Been in the commercial construction industry all my professional life. Work in the healthcare group, so we do a lot of healthcare projects around the country. And I am here actively. I am a superintendent by title, but I do supporting our project teams here through use of lean construction management and lean project delivery. So it's been a journey for me the last 18 years, getting to know not only myself but how lean can help us in the construction industry.
Well, dang, dude, you bring a wealth of life and joy and experience to the space and to lean. And as you said in your name, I didn't even know that. I didn't even think about it. So that's
Yeah,
brilliant. So it's all been called into fruition here. So,
absolutely.
well, man, you ready to hop into it? Should we do this
Yeah,
thing?
let's do it, man. Climb on in.
All right, dude. Hey, well, what's on your mind today? What's kind of been spinning in your head lately these days?
Dan, lately, like I say, I work in the construction industry. How we can better help our project teams deliver projects to owners, and I hear a lot of people that kind of do similar roles. And the big thing is, how do you get people to buy into this stuff? I mean, the construction industry is an industry that isn't easily penetrated by innovation and technology sometimes. There are a lot of people that are set in their ways and been doing this for 20, 30 years, and they think, what we do is great. Why do we need to improve? So buy-in is a huge thing in our industry right now. That's one of the things that a lot of people are dealing with is we have all these great ideas, we see all these great things, but how do we convince people to buy into doing them?
Yeah, man. I think it feels like, I mean, I know that this is your experience in the construction space. I feel like this is like a change management, challenge for sure across the board. And I can only imagine in the space you're in that like you've got extra layers that are on top of that that make it more challenging
Yes,
versus just
absolutely.
maybe a normal like manufacturing space or like a service space.
Yes, absolutely. I think one of the things that is helping us out in some of the cities is like here in Nashville, we started a community of practice through Lane Construction Institute. So there's folks we have in different areas of the supply chain, owners, vendors, subcontractors, trade partners, general contractors. We're all meeting together on a frequent basis to see how can we penetrate lean more into our industry, especially in our local industry. So that's one of the good things I believe that's been happening out here.
Well, that's beautiful. So you've got some cool, like, base, like a foundation you've all laid. I don't even know anything about construction. Um, so what do you want things to be like? Like ideally, if you could like write the check or draw the picture, like what would you want
Yep.
it to be like?
I would say, kind of true north would be all teams and all projects that utilize lean project delivery. It would be awesome if we could get people started kind of in the pre-construction design phase and work that all the way through, commissioning and turnover of buildings. But a big part of that, getting that buy-in is really getting the trust from people. It's kind of like going back to Patrick Lencioni's, five dysfunctions of a team. Everybody says they want a team, but how do you build those teams? And if you don't have trust at the bottom of that triangle, nothing that resembles a team can come after that. So that's one of the big things, and getting trust is relates to buy-in. How do you relate to people? If you don't have buy-in, you're going to get resistance, and it's going to run rampant. So that's huge in our industry.
Mm, mm, mm. What does that look like? Because I feel like we all have different ideas of what buy-in is. Like we use that term a lot, and like
Yes.
engagement, buy-in. There's other words I'm sure that people fancy or psychological terms. But what, like, if you were to go into, I don't know, you can just pick whatever area you feel like might be the biggest challenge with this. But like, what would it look like if you were walking around the space and you would know, like,
hmm
oh, there's buy-in going on. What are you seeing going on?
To me, buy-in also relates to psychological safety. So, I mean, you can start a meeting off with, hey, we're going to introduce each other. I'm going to start off first. I'm going to tell you where I'm from, kind of what I do in the industry, and I'm going to give you something that I did as a kid that I enjoyed doing. So, you got to try to break the ground because everybody's here. Everybody says, oh, we're a team, but there's no I in team. But at the end of the day, there's several I's in team. We're all individuals. And so, we got to relate to those individuals and how they relate. So, getting something even as simple as what you enjoyed doing as a kid, so everybody in the room knows something about folks in here. We all feel a little more safer, like, oh, I didn't know you did this as a kid, or I didn't know you did that as a kid. So trying to break that ice instead of just starting the meeting off diving right into what you want to do. Hey, we're here to talk about XYZ, let's go forward. Like, oh, wait a second, I don't even know the people in the room yet. I don't know where you're from, I don't know what you like to do, I don't know what you did as a kid. So try to establish some type of groundwork to where we can start working to build that trust amongst one another, because trust is something that's earned over time. It's not something that's going to go in. You're going to say, okay, I'll run this project. You guys trust me. It doesn't work like that.
People don't just like buy in, like
No,
just
absolutely
cause.
not.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
wish it did, but it doesn't.
Well, you have those meetings where you get like the icebreakers,
Yep,
people like sharing more of their own personal side, their history, fun things, their favorite dessert, whatever it might be.
absolutely.
Um, what else? What other things are you seeing where you're having like some personal connection, which is awesome? What other
Yep.
things would be great to be happening
Yeah,
in this
definitely,
kind of fun?
definitely personal connection. And then really, how do you continue to climb that ladder? Once you got the personal connection,
Yep.
continue to get to know these folks, what's important to them. I mean, some people say they believe in the golden rule, treat people like you want to be treated. You almost got to take it a step further to the platinum rule, treat people like they want to be treated. But in order to do that, you got
Mm,
to get to know those individuals for who they are, because everybody's different. All personalities are different. Even if you work with them on the last project, something may have happened in the last year to where they're a little different now. So continuing to get to know folks and
yes.
really, like I say, man, and we have a term called respect for the people. And in
Yep.
respect for the people, you really got to get to know the people that you're working with. So, I mean, I've had a pretty unique experience because I've worked in 22 different states, and everywhere I've went, I don't know anybody. So I started at the bottom of the ladder with everybody.
Damn.
So I've grown myself to be accustomed to getting to know people, respect for people, and everywhere I go, everybody that I've ever worked with, I can always call somebody there. So those relationships are built, and that's how you get folks to trust you. Some people rely on a title to
Yep.
influence those relationships, but for me, I want to be authentic, not artificial.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I feel you on that, and I think people respond to the authentic, right?
Yes,
They yeah, they engage with that for sure. That's been my experience, and vulnerability too, right?
absolutely.
Like, and that's a whole other level as well of the picture. So you have not only the breaking the ice, but then the building on that of the relationship over time.
Yep.
Um, Maybe one other thing. What other things are you seeing? So we're seeing that we're relational. Is there anything else that you're like, this is the hallmark of a bought in area that I would love to see?
Well, yeah, really that trust factor, and then being able to have open dialogue, people being able to say no. If you're asking questions
Mm,
and they don't have the choice to say no, then it's really you don't have buy-in yet. People have to have the ability to say, you know what, I can't do that, but I can do this. So that option should
mm.
always be there. Otherwise, you're not getting reliable commitments. People are not going to reliably commit because they're going to walk out of the room saying, I had to say yes. I just said that so I can keep the meeting going. So
Yep.
we got to be able to have those constructive conversations to where you may not agree exactly where the plan is going, but you're allowed to say, you know what, I can't do that, but what I can do is this, Lee, or what I can do is that, Sam. So
Yeah, man. That I'm taking that away honestly, and I think as a coach, you need to be learning. I'm learning here as well. Like that reframe. Is it a space where people can say no and
yes,
feel say because if all you're hearing is yes, right, you just have yes men, and then like
yes,
where doors to innovation, growth, learning
exactly.
all those things. Where are you seeing things are at right now with this? So we got like this cool place that would be great for things to look like,
Hmm.
right? And I think most folks in our spaces, lean practitioners, all those things are like, yes, yes, yes. Like we're all like
Yep.
totally there with you in that. What do things look like now in the spaces that you're in where you're having these buy-in challenges?
Honestly, right now it is there's some traction. I know like in our local CLP here, one of the general contractor companies, they intentionally set up what they call high performing teams. And part of that high performing teams that they do is the Patrick Lencioni's, the triangle
Hmm.
that you start with. They do personality assessments to figure out
Oh,
how
oh,
individuals are naturally wired, and that gives you better intellect really into how to work with those individuals. So there are some folks out here, taking steps to try to build high performing teams and incorporate lean into what we do, especially in the construction industry. But like I say, man, we have so much room for improvement, and there's vast amounts of opportunities available that we're kind of in the infancy stage as an industry, so the folks that are doing these are on the leading edge of these things. But like I say, we're having those conversations. We've been having those conversations here locally. Those conversations are being had nationally. So there's definitely a group of individuals that are looking to bring this lean mindset to the construction industry and make it stick.
what which is great. Like I'm getting to know a lot of great folks here on LinkedIn, including yourself. And there's lots of others that have been on this on this coaching section, as well as just I've met around. So there's great people out there.
Yes.
Like Adam Hoots and Jesse Hernandez, Jen Lacey. Like I'm just
Yep.
coming off the top of my head. Felipe Engineer. Like there's just like a ton of people, and that's just scratching the surface.
Absolutely.
So what what are you seeing? Like, if we're just getting down to brass tacks, what sorts of things are you seeing, right? Like you've got this cool, like these characteristics that you've named that are like, this is
Yep.
what would be cool to happen. Well, what's like, let's just be honest, like what's actually happening? What are you seeing going on in the
Um,
spaces you're in that you'd want to see?
I would say that there's still a lot of resistance naturally because as human beings, we're inclined not to do things that are out of our everyday nature, and lean is definitely a term that scares a lot of people. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And to me, it's like I say, it's more of a mindset, how you do things, how you go about organizing things, what's the strategy behind it. And folks are just like, nah, we don't want to do that. That doesn't work. But if they understood really that this whole thing is about, respect for people, it's about continuous improvement. To me, if you don't wake up every day and you want to be a better version of yourself, I
Yep.
really question, what are you doing that day? And in order to continuously improve, you have to be continuously changing things. And it's
Yeah.
not oh, I do this once a year. It's a daily thing. The
Yeah.
mindset is every day. I want to do something. I want to learn something new every day. And quite honestly, there's not a lot of people out there in the world that want to learn things new. I was listening to I believe it was YouTube, and a guy named Myron Golden was on there, and he was talking about excellence and mediocrity. He says to be mediocre, it's just you can basically just go with the flow. You can fit in with everybody, but if you want to be excellent, you're going to stand out. So you're going to
Yeah.
do things different than people that are doing things mediocrity. So That's a huge difference. I mean, it's easy to fit in, but the folks that out here that want to be lean and want to practice these things, they want to stand out from people. They want their projects to be excellent. So,
Mm. So you're seeing it's like that desire to fit in and go with the flow, like
oh
you
yeah,
have that picture of like the fish that's going in the
yeah.
stream.
He basically said, mediocrity scales exponentially. To be excellent, it scales incrementally, and there's a reason why that is.
Yeah.
Just think about Michael Jordan. There's only been one Michael Jordan in all the years that basketball has been around, and it's a reason. I mean, granted, he's athletically gifted, but
Yeah.
Michael Jordan had the drive, the determination to be a better version of himself every day, and he knew that if he did this every day, he's going to set himself apart. I don't know, that there may not be a lot of people who go to work every day trying to figure out, what can I do every day to make myself better? What can I do every day to make the work better for the men and women out here doing it? How can I have a lean mindset? But if you're intentional with doing that and you wake up every day, you're going to figure out how to do it one way or the other, because if you don't do it, somebody else will.
Yeah. And that's the mindset of experimentation,
Yep.
innovation, being open to that. So and I love that phrase of mediocrity is exponential. I'm going to keep that one too. You're giving all these
Yeah.
cool nuggets. So I'm taking that. Um, so if we've got this, like, we want to break the ice, we want to build relationship. We were in this space of resistance and fitting in and mediocrity.
Yep.
What do you feel like's the biggest challenge or obstacle that's like holding you back, that's holding the folks back in the space right now to get to that place you want to be at?
I would also say the other side of lean, like the scientific side, in construction, man, we're always we want work to flow. We want things to be easy.
Yeah.
But when you ask people what is flow, you're going to get various amounts of answers. But when you really get down to it, there's only a few things you can do, like from a scientific standpoint, to control the flow of work in any
Mm,
process. So if we just really, it's all about education. There's a lot of folks that they just don't know what they don't know. And then it's almost
mm,
like once you see something, you can't unsee it. So if we can start educating people about, hey, let's really talk about how do we make our work flow through standard processes. Because if we can do that, we can start focusing in on, hey, how do we increase our throughput? How do we
yep.
decrease our cycle time? How do we limit our work in process to where we can control the work in a tighter area and move work through smaller work zones, increase the handoffs, and then make our flow better? And ultimately that's going to make the lives easier for the people that are out there managing the work, for the people that are doing the work. It's going to increase our reliability and turnover projects to clients. So the whole lean concept and flow, if folks start getting into it, and it'll make our lives so much easier. But it's so much resistance out there because automatically human nature, your mind is wired and you go into fleet or feet. Well, when you're like, oh, something new, I got to do something new. I don't want to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, and I totally get it too. I feel that in myself. I think, why don't people pick up on some of these things?
Yeah.
And oh yeah, well in myself
And
I have that too. So I
so
can't like
like
pointing the
you,
finger about like if I'm like something new for dinner, like a new
yeah.
routine, like that is hard.
Creatures of
So
habit. Like
yeah,
you and I would say this stuff is common sense, because we've been exposed, so we've been around it. But what I've come to know is that common sense isn't common practice. It
come
may be
on.
common sense to you and I, but it's not
Yeah.
common practice.
Yeah.
So
What are so you said education. What else? What other roadblocks do you think are keeping you from seeing that ideal place happen? What else is there?
I would definitely say education. I would also say, training. In our industry, we do a lot of training, and a lot of the training is built around technical competency type things.
Yeah.
We don't do a lot of training around character development or leadership.
Mm,
To me, that's a huge missing piece is
yep.
character development and leadership. Because if you think about it, there's a guy, he was at our LCI conference, a gentleman named Max Stewart. Been reading some of his books lately, and he said when people get hired, traditionally they get hired off what they know, their technical
Yeah.
competency.
Yeah.
When a company releases somebody or they let somebody go, they get fired because of who they are, which is their character. So
Ooh,
why don't companies take time to intentionally develop their character more? and grow their character and who they are. You know what I mean? And then that's going to, in turn, it's going to help them personally and professionally. But that's
Yeah.
just not a lot of people growing their character. I mean, there's not even a lot of people that necessarily read a lot of books anymore lately, because this is an age of social media, so everything is so readily accessible, but I would venture to think if you took a survey of 50 people and you asked them, hey, what's the latest book you read? I don't know what type of answers you would get, Sam. you know,
Oh man. Yeah, no. It's true, right? The development of self and then
yep,
the intentional development of leadership of people, to your
yes,
point, right? Because
absolutely,
that's something I didn't even think about as the character part and being let go. So the development of people, especially like leaders as they go up, right? They're not
yes.
getting that they're just like, oh, you performed well, so you'll do well as a leader
Yeah,
just
so that's
by
what I
default.
call basically you pass the test. It's like saying I got a 12-year-old student that's in, sixth grade. They got
Yep.
straight A's on the math test last semester. So next semester I want to let them teach the class just because they got straight A's. They haven't been taught, they haven't been trained, they don't have any qualifications to be a teacher, but they did great at the test. They know the material. It
Yeah.
doesn't make them a teacher. But a lot of
Yeah.
times, like you said, people get promoted because, oh, you did good at the last position. Well, we haven't equipped you to be a leader of people. There's a difference between managing and leading. You know what I mean? Managers deal more with transactional things. When you're a leader, you have to deal with relational things. You have to deal with people. You can't manage people. You have to lead them.
That's right. And we conflate those words too often.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, and it's part of just our culture, of course.
Yep.
So the education, the training, what sorts of things have you tried that you're like, okay, I've tried this and this and this, and that's like, and you're just kind of like, I'm, at this place where it's still feeling frustrated because clearly you're an intentional person and you're always every
Yes.
day you're waking up to make things better. You got focus, you got heart, you got resilience, all these things. So what are
hmm
the things you're trying and it's still like not lining up and making things happen?
to be honest, like I started doing this role about 2 years ago. So for me, probably the first 6, 8 months to a year, I just run around meeting people. I want to know who you are.
Yep.
So I'm not going to go in anywhere and try to tell folks how to do their job if I don't know anything about them or how to make things better. So that's the first and foremost is remembering that people are the ones out here doing this work. So let's go meet the people. Let's meet them where they're at. Let's figure out who they are.
Yeah.
Then once people figure out who you are and that you're really concerned about them
Yep.
and their growth, you'll start getting some buy-in because they'll now know that, hey, this person comes around. I can kind of trust this person. I may not agree with what they're totally saying, but
Yep.
it's almost like taking stuff out of the coaching habit. You go there and you ask them, what's the biggest issue you have here today? You ask the question and you sit back and you let them talk and you listen for what they're going to respond with. And it's not like I'm not coming here with all these preformed solutions. I really
Yep.
want to know what's the biggest issue that you all are having. So I've also found that asking questions is a great segue into
Yeah.
getting buy-in because it allows those people to give their input. It allows them to have some leverage in the conversation versus you go in there with all these suggestions. They're like, whoa, wait a second, what are you talking about? Let me talk. So questions is really, I mean, there was a quote I read somewhere also that said the best leaders ask the best question. So that's one of the things that I've been trying to work on myself is don't make suggestions, don't give people unwarranted information. Just ask
Hmm.
questions and let them tell you and guide you where they want to go.
Amen. Yeah, absolutely. It's asking the questions and genuinely being open and not having a preformed answer in your head
Yep.
too. I mean, like even in this space right here, like I have to practice that where I'm like, just be present and ask the questions and be
Yep.
ready for whatever comes.
Absolutely.
So what's the big challenge? What are you needing to overcome? What do you need to take action on to help like you said, and I love the frame too, and that's is the improvements incremental, right?
Yeah.
So what's something that you can take away like from here in the next day or two and just try in a small way to do something different that's gonna like move the needle like a tiny bit.
One thing, like I say, is the asking questions part. I have to remind myself of that daily, because a lot
Yep.
of times you go into things and you're like, all right, I already know what's going on. I already
Yep.
know what these folks need to do. I'm just gonna go in there and tell them what to do, And it's like, oh, wait a second. You have to remind yourself every day that, hey, man, I'm actually here for them. You know, it's all about really servant leadership at the end of the day. You got to figure out how we can serve the people that we're out here trying to touch. It's not about me, it's about them. So
Yeah, man. Yeah, I have this post-it note on here that my good friend Adam Lawrence has gave me. He runs kaizens, and when he goes in, he always has to remind himself of this. Well, you can't see it. Less you, more them.
yep,
Right.
yep,
So
absolutely.
that's the reminder. It's about them, not about you, and making things better for them.
Yep. I would say that's the biggest thing. It's not about me, it's about them. If you keep that mindset, really I'm here to help others.
So what's the thing you want to take away and start doing? Like just like if you were to like nail it down, this is a thing I'm gonna go do in the next, day or two with
Yep.
intention.
If I can take something away that I'm going to do in the next day or two, it's develop myself to ask better questions. I read this book, The Coaching Habit, and like the one question, it's just basically a series of 7 questions. But I often find myself sometimes not asking enough questions because I'm there like, oh man, I already see this, I see that. Oh, why is there so much inventory on this job site? Or, why is all this work in process and nothing's actually being completed? It looks good. So I have to sit back and ask my question like, hey, what's the biggest challenge here? What are you all struggling with? What has you all been struggling with? What do you see as something that you need to overcome in the next 6 weeks? So then I can try to work my way into how can I help these individuals based off what they're going through currently right now, not what I necessarily see.
Dude, I love it. If you were to turn the camera over here to my left, I've got the 7 questions sitting right here. Now, does
Yeah.
that mean like we can know all these things? That
Yep.
like I've got the questions. Does that mean I'm like perfect at like being present and like asking the questions? I haven't. No, absolutely not. It's
Yep.
like it's a practice and we do it daily. So this is great. I love that intention is awesome. What are you expecting to happen as you go out and you practice? What are you expecting to learn? What are you expecting to kind of experience and feel?
Basically, what I'm expecting is for people to, well, number one, they're going to have to stop and really think about, hey, what's going on? So
Yeah.
that oftentimes they probably don't do that because nobody's ever asked them those type of questions.
Yeah.
So they may pause for a few minutes. It's just going to be some awkward silence there, and I'm just going to have to be like, okay, I'll wait for you. So that's going to be a big thing to get used to is like that because I know there's going to be a silent moment there because nobody's like, okay, what can I do for you, basically.
Yep.
So
Oh man. Well, hey y'all. I could go in here for like hours here with you, LR, and we've
yep.
had a great time. I'm excited to hear how this goes, how you lean into that, because I know that space, that silence for me is like the worst. Because I'm the kind of guy I'm like, hey, oh, like fill in the space. And it's like, no, that
Yeah,
is not the way to make this better. So
absolutely.
um, y'all, if you were on here, Adam, I saw you. Thank you for hopping in, and Umut, thank you so much for sharing. You know, you guys are. I appreciate everybody that's showing up, and please continue to engage with LR, and let's keep the conversation going. I think this is a conversation that we need to keep going, and keep engaging in, and like exchanging ideas in. And if you're in the space where you're a practitioner, you want to jump out on your own, or you just feel like you need that support, and this kind of support feels good to you, I'm here for that. LR, if you were to sum up what the most valuable part of this conversation today was and what you're taking away, what would that be?
Oh, I would say the most valuable part is just being present in the moment. A lot of times we don't live in the moment. We're always concerned about what happened yesterday or what we're gonna do, tomorrow or in the future. So being present here with you, Sam, has been a great experience, man. And I appreciate you having me on. And one thing that I will take away is the coaching habit. keeping those 7 questions in my mind. I mean, I even have them in my phone, like a picture of them, but I don't look at them often enough.
I know.
It's almost like something I need to do intentionally daily. Like, hey, this is a part of my routine. I'm gonna wake up. I'm gonna look at the 7 questions, and bam, I'm good to go. So that way you can just keep burning that in there.
Just get your toothbrush out and put the questions right
Yep,
there on your
yep.
mirror.
Put them on the mirror.
I'm with you, man. I'm with you, man. Like, hey, y'all, if you're not connected to LR, please do that. Let's keep the conversation going. And thanks once again for being on here and bringing your positivity, your energy, your wisdom, your insight, man. I got some stuff that you just dropped. I think I'm going to have to go back and pull out some of those quotes, or you can just drop them in the comments, and appreciate you all. Let's keep the conversation going in the comments and keep engaging. Thanks as always. And we'll be back on next Tuesday with Joe Sprangle. So you're going to want to be here for another great coaching session and more good stuff. So thanks again, y'all. Have a fantastic weekend, and we'll see you soon. Take care.